This video is intended to assist the Ford dealer with service diagnostics for the Ford F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis, also known as the F53, model years 1989 through 1993. For a moment, let's discuss the demographics of motorhome owners. Most are over 55 years old, well off financially, meticulous in their maintenance of the motorhome, and accustomed to driving high-quality luxury cars. However, what many motorhome owners forget is that the F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis is a Class 5 truck chassis, not a Lincoln Town Car. This video will be segmented into 4 general areas. First, vehicle knowledge, an introduction to the basic F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis. This section will also contain discussion about aftermarket modifications you may encounter, potential customer complaint areas not covered by other segments of this video, and things to look for when test driving the customer's vehicle. Secondly, vehicle wander, the need for minor steering inputs to maintain its given direction. Vehicle roll, a side-to-side movement of the vehicle caused by road and driver inputs, commonly called sway by customers. And finally, front end shimmy, an intermittent front axle oscillation causing the motorhome steering wheel and front wheels to shake and vibrate. This is the 1989 through 93 model year Ford F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis as delivered to motorhome bodybuilders. It is also known as the F53. Before performing any service work on an F53, it is very important to know exactly what you have. First, check the vehicle identification number to confirm that the motorhome is indeed built on the F53 chassis. F53 should appear in positions 5 through 7. If not, then the motorhome in question is not built on the F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis. Ask the owner about chassis modifications, and then inspect the vehicle for signs of modifications that the owner may not know about, such as frame stretching or suspension changes. Understanding these potential bodybuilder modifications is important when servicing the coach, because these changes may have adverse effects on the motorhome chassis. Also, if the modification is contributing to the customer concern, or if non-Ford parts are used on the drivetrain and suspension systems, Ford Motor Company and its dealers can choose not to work on or warranty those components. Note the rear leaf spring suspension as designed and delivered by Ford. Look for an aftermarket suspension or suspension modifications. Frequently, coach builders will add air springs or remove the stock Ford rear suspension and install an aftermarket rear suspension, such as MoRide or Jet Air. It is also not uncommon to see tag axles installed by the body builders. These aftermarket suspensions are usually installed for coach leveling and weight distribution purposes. Measure the wheelbase and compare it to the incomplete vehicle tag mounted inside the vehicle on the steering column or coach sidewall. If the motorhome is equipped with a tag axle, measure to the centerline of the drive axle. As a reminder, Ford Motor Company offers 4 wheelbases in the following lengths: 178 inches, 190 inches, 208 inches, and 228 inches. Any other wheelbase is a sure sign the chassis has been modified. Finally, check the driveline for modifications. Any wheelbase changes, aftermarket suspensions, or aftermarket gearbox installations will affect the original equipment driveline installation. If driveline vibrations are encountered, keep in mind that the driveline may have been modified with non-Ford parts, and these may be contributing to the customer complaint. The primary cause of driveline vibrations are improper driveline balance, improper driveline angles, improper drive shaft length combinations, improper midship bearing placement or installment. The most frequent cause of driveline vibration complaints is undercoating sprayed on the driveline. Just a little overspray may cause very noticeable driveline imbalance and vibration. While looking for undercoating overspray, also look at suspension components, particularly shock absorbers. Overspray on the chrome shock rods will cause premature shock absorber wear or leakage. If overspray exists on the shock absorbers, take time to clean off the shock rod to prevent premature shock wear. Moving on to the front suspension, note the camber or arch of the front spring. When the F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis is loaded to its 6,000-pound front axle weight limit, the front springs will appear flat or have mild negative camber, a slight downward arch. This is a normal condition and does not necessarily indicate weak springs. Another important piece of information when solving a complaint issue is the vehicle weight. If possible, obtain vehicle weights at each wheel position: left front, left rear, and right rear. If the four corner weights are not available, then at least obtain the front and rear axle weights. For most F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis, the vehicle weight ratings are as follows: front axle, 6,000 pounds. Rear axle, 11,000 pounds. And the total gross vehicle weight rating, or GVW, is 17,000 pounds. However, Ford also offers a 15,200-pound gross vehicle weight version of the F53 with a front axle rating of 5,360 pounds and a rear axle rating of 9,880 pounds. It is important to remember, however, that some body manufacturers will re-rate the chassis to as much as 20,000 pounds. This is a sure sign that the chassis is modified in some manner. When the vehicle is weighed, be sure it is equipped the way the customer normally drives it. The water, fuel, and luggage loads they normally carry should be in the vehicle when it is weighed. Weighing the vehicle is especially important for customer complaints regarding handling, roll control, and leaners. For customer complaints regarding leaners or side-to-side leveling, refer to Technical Service Bulletin 92-3-6. It is very important for a knowledgeable service technician or manager to test drive the motorhome with the customer. First, ride with the owner and ask the owner to describe the problem. While riding, observe the owner's driving habits. Is he smooth or abrupt with throttle and steering inputs? Does he overcorrect and constantly provide input to the steering wheel instead of letting the vehicle settle? Secondly, drive the vehicle with the customer riding along in order to confirm the customer concern. After the test drive, always start your service work by checking the obvious. Check tire pressures for proper inflation, which is normally 80 pounds per square inch, although some body manufacturers may specify lower pressures at the rear if a tag axle is used. If possible, use an appropriate hoist for servicing motorhomes. Continue with a visual inspection of steering and suspension components. Confirm that existing components are installed and torqued properly. Keep an eye open for loose and worn suspension components, especially front and rear stabilizer bar bushings. Replace as necessary. After completing this preliminary inspection, you should be ready to deal specifically with the customer's concern. The following video segments will help. For additional information, also refer to applicable technical service bulletins relating to the F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis or F53. Wander is defined as the tendency of a vehicle to need minor steering inputs to maintain its given direction. Note that passing trucks and wind will have an aerodynamic effect on the motorhome, and while this is normal, some drivers believe it is a result of steering concerns. Also affecting this is the front-to-rear weight distribution of the coach. Overloading a motorhome on the rear may result in poor steering characteristics. Finally, many customers will believe wander is a steering gear issue. However, the gear itself is seldom a cause of a wander concern. Test drive the vehicle with the owner as described in the Vehicle Knowledge section to confirm the customer complaint. Ask the owner to describe what is happening and observe the customer's driving habits. The following corrective actions should be followed in sequence when servicing a customer unit with a steering wander concern. Check tire pressures. Inspect front suspension. Retorque front suspension components. Perform computer four-wheel alignment. First, start by checking tire pressures, which should be 80 pounds per square inch. Check front spring eye and shackle bushings for signs of excessive wear or movement, such as improper fit of bushing and spring. Note there are 3 bushings per side at each spring location. If these bushings are excessively worn, the entire spring should be replaced with standardized service replacement springs, part number F1TZ-5310-M for the right side and F2TZ-5310-A for the left. Check torque on all suspension component fasteners. Perform front end alignment with computerized four-wheel alignment equipment available from Rotunda, Bear, Hunter, etc. Record before and after measurements. Alignment specifications are as follows. Caster, left wheel, 5 1/2 to 7 1/2 degrees. Right wheel, 5 3/4 to 7 1/2 degrees. Toe in, 1/16 to 3/16 inch with 1/8 inch the optimum. 1.5 degree caster shims, engineering part number E9TZ-5A313-A, are available to assist in obtaining the correct vehicle caster setting. Install the shims with the thick end towards rear of vehicle. To properly seat the spring, the bolt head should be located in the hole on the axle, and if caster shims are used, a longer bolt may be necessary to accomplish this. Camber and steering wheel alignment, or clear vision, are not adjustable as part of the front end alignment process. Clear vision is set by removing the steering wheel and realigning it. To summarize, start by checking the tire pressures and setting them correctly. Closely inspect the front suspension for loose fasteners and fittings, and for worn components like the spring eye bushings. Replace worn components as necessary with the latest available parts, and retorque the front suspension. Finish by performing a computerized four-wheel alignment. Finally, refer to the following technical service bulletins for further information regarding the steering system and customer concerns on the F53. Keep in mind, however, that the steering gear itself is usually not the issue when customers have steering wander concerns. Steering feel, notchy, lumpy, or ratchety feel. Technical Service Bulletin 90-11-11. High efforts, Technical Service Bulletin 91-5-9. Light efforts or wander, Technical Service Bulletin 91-12-10. Steering gear fluid leak, Technical Service Bulletin 92-6-12. High efforts in right-hand turn, Technical Service Bulletin 93-1-15. Vehicle roll, or body roll, commonly called sway by customers, is the side-to-side motion of the vehicle body caused by road inputs while driving down the road, or by driver inputs while cornering. Vehicle roll is a normal condition. It's just that some customers are more sensitive to vehicle roll conditions than others, so it becomes a question of how much vehicle roll is acceptable. Test drive the vehicle with the owner as described in the Vehicle Knowledge section to confirm the customer complaint. Ask the owner to describe what is happening and observe the customer's driving habits. The following corrective action should be followed when servicing a customer unit with a roll concern. Check tire pressures. Inspect front suspension. Inspect shock absorbers. Inspect stabilizer bar bushings. Retorque suspension components. And finally, perform computer four-wheel alignment. First, verify 80 pounds per square inch tire pressures at all wheel locations. Inspect front and rear suspensions, looking for obvious problems like loose fasteners and fittings. Look at the shock absorbers for signs of leakage or damage. Replace if necessary. Frequently, worn or damaged shocks are a cause of excessive body roll. If the shock absorbers show damage from contact with the frame rail, refer to Technical Service Bulletin 93-22 for further information. Check the spring eye bushings and stabilizer bar end link bushings for premature wear. If the stabilizer bar end link bushings need replacement, use the latest level urethane bushings in place of the original neoprene ones. The Ford Engineering part numbers are as follows. The urethane bushings F4TD-4A037-AA. The front end link assembly F4TD-5K483-AA. And the rear end link assembly F4TD-5K484-AA. Also, install hardened washers part number N803447-S7M on both sides of the upper rear and lower front end link bushings. The current front stabilizer bar is a short arm design, measuring approximately 3 inches shorter than the old bar. This bar was incorporated into production on chassis built after April 9, 1991. The old bar has a 17 3/4 inch arm, while the new bar has a 13.2 inch arm. Also, notice that the new bar mounts further to the rear on the chassis. The current rear stabilizer bar is 1 1/2 inch diameter compared to the previous 1 1/4 inch diameter bar. Install all stabilizer bar attachment hardware with the medium Loctite or equivalent. For more information regarding the front and rear stabilizer bar installations, see Technical Service Bulletin 91-20-9. Check torque on all suspension component fasteners. Perform front end alignment with computerized four-wheel alignment equipment, available from Rotunda, Bear, Hunter, etc. Record before and after measurements. Alignment specifications are as follows. Caster, left wheel, 5 1/2 to 7 1/2 degrees. Right wheel, 5 3/4 to 7 1/2 degrees. Toe in, 1/16 to 3/16 inch with 1/8 inch the optimum. 1.5 degree caster shims, engineering part number E9TZ-5A313-A, are available to assist in obtaining the correct vehicle caster setting. Install the shims with the thick end towards rear of vehicle. To properly seat the spring, the bolt head should be located in the hole on the axle, and if caster shims are used, a longer bolt may be necessary to accomplish this. Camber and steering wheel alignment, or clear vision, are not adjustable as part of the front end alignment process. Clear vision is set by removing the steering wheel and realigning it. After performing the previous steps, test drive the vehicle with the customer and check the roll condition. Gently turn the wheel in order to rock the coach back and forth. If the vehicle still exhibits excessive body roll, the final step is to install high-rate front springs per Technical Service Bulletin 93-19-12. These springs will provide increased front roll stiffness, however, they will also result in a stiffer ride. To review, start by checking the tire pressures. Inspect front and rear suspension, paying particular attention to the shock absorbers. Stabilizer bar end link bushings. and stabilizer bar attachment hardware. Finish the job by checking torques on both front and rear suspensions and performing a computer four-wheel alignment. Front-end shimmy is defined as the intermittent front-end oscillation causing the steering wheel and front wheels to shake and vibrate. Sometimes what owners perceive and report as front-end shimmy is actually steering column shake. The best solution for this is usually to add a brace from the forward steering column support structure to a nearby body sidewall, such as to the front of the driver's door area. The motorhome bodybuilder will usually install a fabricated support brace for the customer as shown here. Test drive the vehicle with the owner as described in the Vehicle Knowledge section to confirm the customer complaint. Ask the owner to describe what is happening and observe the customer's driving habits. The following corrective actions should be followed in sequence when servicing a customer unit with a shimmy concern. Check tire pressures and wheel balance. Inspect front suspension. Inspect shock absorbers. Inspect steering damper installation. Inspect stabilizer bar bushings. Retorque front suspension components. And finally, perform computer four-wheel alignment. The first step is to verify tire pressures, which should be 80 pounds per square inch, and tire balance. Inspect front axle and suspension system, looking for obvious problems, like loose fasteners, fittings, and components. Look closely at the steering damper installation. Check the shock absorbers for damage or leakage. If the customer has experienced a shimmy concern, there is a good chance the shocks will show slight denting from contact with the frame rail. If the shock absorber can still move through its entire stroke without binding, there is no need to replace it unless it leaks. Check the spring eye bushings and stabilizer bar end link bushings for excessive wear. Replace as necessary. The Ford F Super Duty Class A motorhome chassis should be equipped with a steering damper connected from the axle to the tie rod. If there is no steering damper present, install the original equipment Ford steering damper available in service kit part number E8TZ 3E651-A as described in Technical Service Bulletin 90-23-12. If the vehicle is equipped with an aftermarket steering stabilizer, remind the owner that Ford Motor Company engineers do not recommend its use. And if the vehicle demonstrates a shimmy concern, then the aftermarket stabilizer must be removed and replaced with the original equipment steering damper. Check torque on all steering component fasteners, including the steering damper. Perform front-end alignment with computerized four-wheel alignment equipment, available from Rotunda, Bear, Hunter, etc. Record before and after measurements. Alignment specifications are as follows. Caster, left wheel, 5 1/2 to 7 1/2 degrees. Right wheel, 5 3/4 to 7 1/2 degrees. Toe in, 1/16 to 3/16 inch with 1/8 inch the optimum. 1.5 degree caster shims, engineering part number E9TZ-5A313-A, are available to assist in obtaining the correct vehicle caster setting. Install the shims with the thick end towards rear of vehicle. To properly seat the spring, the bolt head should be located in the hole on the axle, and if caster shims are used, a longer bolt may be necessary to accomplish this. Camber and steering wheel alignment, or clear vision, are not adjustable as part of the front-end alignment process. Clear vision is set by removing the steering wheel and realigning it. In summary, check tire pressure and wheel balance. Inspect the front suspension for obvious problems. Look closely at the shock absorbers. Steering damper installation and stabilizer bar bushings. If there is an aftermarket self-steering stabilizer, please remove and return to customer. If there is not a forward damper in place, install the forward damper. Retorque front suspension components to proper torque specifications. And finally, perform a computerized four-wheel alignment.